Hey, it's me, Broken Taffy, and I'm joined with my Uncle Troy, and today we are going to do... we watched, what did we watch today?
We watched Avengers Endgame today, a couple of hours ago.
Yes.
And we're going to give first impressions about Avengers Endgame. So, Izaiah, what were your first impressions? How did you feel when the movie finished and you were walking out of the theater?
I felt... I actually felt very shocked. I didn't know what to think, basically, at all. Because of all the stuff, because of all the things, I couldn't think of one thing or another. But how did you feel?
Okay, before I answer, I am going to say this is going to be a spoiler podcast. We're going to talk about the movie, about how we felt about the movie, and we're going to tell you things that happened in the movie that you may not want to know if you haven't watched it yet. So if you haven't watched Avengers Endgame, pause the podcast, go watch it, and then come back and listen to what we have to say. This is our first impressions and some of the questions that we came out of the movie with. My first impression when the movie finished was that I had just gone through an emotional roller coaster. They built up to a great ending. The ending of the movie was awesome.
It was good. It was very good. I also have a follow-up question to the podcast. Would you recommend, anyone who listens to this, or not even, a big superhero fan or anything like that, would you recommend people go watch this movie?
Yes. It was an amazing movie. It was very good.
It was very good.
If you've watched any of the Avengers movies, I would go watch it. If you haven't
seen Infinity War, you can't see it.
Yeah, you don't want to watch it if you haven't watched Infinity War. But it was great. I was very surprised at the beginning of the movie. The first thing that caught me by surprise was how quickly they killed Thanos. Spoiler. Big spoiler.
Big spoiler.
Thor cuts Thanos' head off in the first 15 minutes of the movie. There's literally, it's over. He cut his head off.
Okay, so when he cut his head off, I was like, what? The beep. Because I was like, how? This big guy is, the strongest person in the entire universe, and then just gets his head chopped off. So...
the decisions they made were really logical. They made sense, and even though you didn't expect them, you saw where they were going with the movie. Overall, the movie was great. It started a little slow.
It did.
But it built to a good ending. But there were a few things, you get overcome with the emotion from the movie, but then there's a few things that might not have made sense when you finish watching it. So what were the things to you, Izaiah, that had you just asking questions, or you didn't quite understand what was going on, or maybe you didn't like that portion of the movie? Yeah.
Okay, so at the beginning of the movie, it's like Iron Man in the shuttle or whatever. I don't remember the name of the ship.
It's the Guardians of the Galaxy ship.
Yes, but I know there's a specific... It doesn't matter.
Can't remember.
I think it's called the Vulture.
Either. Yeah.
I think it's called Vulture or something. I have a little mini model. I felt...
Space Hawk?
No, it's Vulture, I think. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah. A couple of nerds. Okay, so in the beginning, it was slow-paced because I felt like it spent a little bit too much on Iron Man at first. After, it made sense... But I now remember now that Hawkeye started it off because I thought it was Iron Man. So.
But Hawkeye was at the very beginning.
Yes, he was at the very.
So
okay. Let's talk about Ant-Man. The end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. We see that they get Thanos snapped, which we can't call it now because Iron Man snaps. So we just call it the Snappy Snap, I guess. Why? How? I'm just overall kind of confused. I don't know. How? Gosh, I can't think right now. All right, well, we had to do a little pause and we kind of figured it out. So, all right. Are there any parts that annoyed you, like, overall at the beginning or anything like that?
Yes.
What?
I was annoyed at the very beginning of the movie when you had Iron Man lost in space with no hope. And Captain Marvel just shows up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, somehow, he said he had 48 hours of air left.
He said he had
spent 24 hours of air. And she shows up and somehow gets him to Earth in a spaceship.
In 10 minutes.
Yeah, in 10 minutes.
Like, I know, it probably wasn't really 10 minutes. But if it was, what the crap?
They made it seem like she...
Oh, she's awesome.
She was used throughout the entire movie. When they couldn't figure out how to do something logically, they just brought Captain Marvel in and she kind of magically did stuff.
I feel like...
She was like their... you know when you're playing a video game and you get the cheat code?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel was the cheat code.
Captain Marvel was the only... okay, my opinion, the only reason Captain Marvel was in this movie was cha-ching, and so they'd have better posters. So...
Yeah, she was not in the movie a lot.
She wasn't really a part... Like, if Captain Marvel wasn't in this movie, except the fact that she saved Iron Man, which probably could have gone a different direction... She really didn't need to be in this movie.
Yeah, she did. She might have been in 15 minutes of the movie.
In the final scene, maybe.
She was only used as a cheat code. So she just kept coming in to save the day, and then she disappeared. She wasn't... It's a 3-hour movie, and
it's a long movie.
May have done 5 minutes worth of actual character stuff.
Right.
Like, that was it. There was no... Like, you didn't learn anything new about her. You didn't. And that was like she didn't really interact with the rest of the Avengers. Like she just showed up, did something, and left.
Yes.
Was there anything else that annoyed you about the movie like that?
At the
throughout any part of the movie.
Okay. Well, first I follow completely, basically, like what you said about Captain Marvel. Because really, she doesn't need to be in the movie. Maybe. Like I said this a minute ago. But it could have gone in a different way. Like... Alright, welcome back. This is the part 3, and this is one of the things that a little aggravated me, actually. I remember before Infinity War came out, and they talked about doing this. They talked about the first movie be called The Infinity Gauntlet, and I feel like it would have made more sense because that's what the glove and stuff, but... so the second part should have been Infinity War. I don't know why they went with Endgame, because it's not the Endgame, because it's not the end. It makes sense a little bit, but Infinity War would have made more sense because of the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet. Maybe just the Gauntlet, because Infinity twice...
I think it made more... I think it was fine to call it Endgame.
Yeah.
Because they were wrapping up the first 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with this movie. Mm-hmm. And they did wrap it up because your 3 main characters, the first Avengers movie was Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America meeting and then joining together to become the Avengers and fighting.
Right.
In this movie, the only way that they could defeat Thanos is for Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America to fight together again against Thanos. Mm-hmm. And then 2 out of the 3, spoiler, don't make it out of this movie.
That's another thing.
So it was the end game for those 3 characters.
Okay, yeah.
So and the end game for the first 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, they wrapped up, there were a lot of different things in this movie that were references and were flashbacks to old Avengers movies and old character movies, like the first Guardians movie. There were scenes from that. There were scenes from the first Avengers movie. There were scenes from the first Captain America movie. There was stuff, and there were references. There were scenes from the Iron Man movies where he got to interact with his dad. And so there's stuff from where they went back and were able to go back in time. But this was one of the things that kind of aggravated you a little bit, was they're discussing time travel. So what was it about that aggravated you?
Okay. All right. Well, the time travel stuff. Okay, so in my notes I did a little Harry Potter thing, but because if you haven't seen the third Harry Potter movie or read the book, this won't make any sense to you. But if you have, it will. In the book, Hermione, I think that's how you say it.
Yes.
She has that little time thing where she can go back. That's how she does both her classes. It's how she does the one class and then do it at the same time at the other. So in the movie, you could see Harry watch Harry because they've already gone back. And when she turned around and they thought it was like a wolf or something, it was actually just Hermione talking to herself, but she didn't mean to. So in the movie, when they go back in time, and when, like, let's say, like, what I wanted to happen is I wanted Thanos to snap again, and instead of the same thing happening, I wish, like, all the ones that didn't die, it's like vice versa, so all the ones that didn't die before died this time. And if it would have gone like that, what if they tried to do it again, and then they saw, like, Captain America trying to get back stuff from Captain America as they were. So I just feel like it would have been a cool route, but it just reminded me of the Harry Potter thing.
It reminded you of that.
And it's a little confusing.
But they didn't follow those time travel rules.
They didn't follow the time travel rules, but they could have, and it would have been probably more interesting.
Well, they tried to set it up like they were going to follow those time travel rules, like not interact with yourself and stuff like that. But you ended up with Captain America fighting Captain America.
Yeah, okay, that's another thing. That's another thing on my list. Okay. When it says, when Cap hit himself, that's not it. Wouldn't that make himself remember getting hit? Like, so let's say he knocks him out and he wakes up. Wouldn't he remember another clone hurt himself from the future? And, like, in the first Avengers, you don't see everything that happens. Like, in the Endgame, you see stuff that happens after the first Avengers. But wouldn't the Hulk smashing, like, hitting the Tesseract and stuff, wouldn't that affect how everything does?
You would think it would, except I think that they were using the time travel rules where everything creates another possible reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going through, like what Doctor Strange said, we tried it, like, was it 14 million times?
It was 14,800,000 and something. You should check out Super Carlin Brothers. You would like that.
So he tried out all those different variances on what they did, and only one of them worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that of different variances that he went through were all of the possibilities from different choices they made. So the fact that Captain America hit Captain America created one of the variances, and that Captain America that he hit moved on to its own end where nobody really survived. But then the Captain America that went back in time and hit himself moved on to the end of Endgame.
Right.
And it also would explain why, like, Gamora's sister,
yes,
in the end, she ends up killing her past self.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't disappear.
Yeah,
so
that didn't make any sense to me.
It has to be an alternate reality for that to work out. Like, there's no way that works out if it's not an alternate reality to the past that they were working in.
Okay, I just looked it up on my phone, and the number is 14,605,000.
Okay.
Actually, another little cool Easter egg is in, I think, every single movie, someone says 12. So if you look at, like, all the movies, you will hear someone say 12. In the first Iron Man, it was, like, 12% or whatever. In another movie, it was just like, 12 people. It was 12 o'clock. Like, every movie, if you find it, every movie says the number 12.
Okay.
So I don't know what that references to, but that's just a cool little little fact if you didn't know what that was. All right, let's take a little break. All right. So another one of my little pet peeves about this movie is, because we're talking about time travel, and this kind of falls into that place of time travel, or what we were talking about, really. How, when Quill, when they, like, knocked him out, or, no, when they got back Gamora, and it's not the Gamora from it was like 5 years later, right? So, Quill's dad was the demigod or something like that, and he, like, was the big planet, and when they never have defeated him without Gamora, because Gamora played a huge part, because Nebula and Gamora in that movie talked about the Soul Stone and where she hid it.
Well, but the Gamora that died in Infinity War,
right? That's the
was
Gamora
the
from
Gamora that helped them beat.
I know
his
that.
Dad.
I'm saying, like, the new Gamora, which really is the past.
Well, she
Gamora
was from 9 years in the past.
Oh,
5 years.
Oh, yeah, because of 2014.
Yeah, she was from 9 years in the past. So she was before they defeated Quill's dad, but she wasn't, like, the Gamora that died was after they defeated Quill's dad. So it was 5 years after she died, but 4 years before that time.
What is wrong with the MCU?
So whatever. There is one other thing about the time travel that did annoy me.
Okay,
this is something that I had a really big question about.
Okay.
So after they killed Thanos, they end up going forward 5 years. So they go forward 5 years into the future, basically.
Yes.
Well, when Tony snapped his fingers, or no, when the Hulk,
the Hulk, yeah,
when the Hulk banner,
all the kids were the same age,
snapped his fingers. He snapped his fingers to bring everybody back that went missing 5 years ago, but he didn't go back in time 5 years.
Yeah,
so everybody who lived for 5 years should be 5 years older, and everybody who came back would not have aged those 5 years. But when they started introducing Spider-Man, he was still in high school like he was 5 years ago, and all of his friends are still in high school.
And it's like a different high school, too.
Yeah, so either all of his friends disappeared for 5 years and they all show back up, or they just didn't take that into account. Another
thing that applies with that, Bruce Banner, that's his name, right?
Yeah,
Bruce Banner. Okay, he said that when Thanos snapped his fingers, half of the Hulk went and half of him went, and it combined. Well, when he snapped his fingers and brought everyone back, wouldn't he have brought back the entire Hulk and the entire himself? When he said that, and then he snapped his fingers, and he was still the Hulk mashup with himself, I was like, you told us earlier in the movie that he took half of both, so those would return. So why didn't it?
Another thing that
just doesn't make that just.
So, but I think we're kind of getting lost in the weeds on the stuff now that was we had questions about.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try to get back to the stuff that we really liked about it, because it was a great movie.
Yes.
So we're gonna pause for a second
and come back in a sec,
and then come back.
connection.
All right, welcome back. We've had some offline discussion trying to decide how we're going to end our first impressions about Avengers Endgame. I want to end it with listing off the things I really liked about it, and then one question that I have from the end of the movie. Isaiah wants to end it by, I don't know. We're still kind of shocked with our first impressions of the movie. There are so many things. It was so long. It was 3 hours.
It was 3. I mean, I knew that there wouldn't be an end credit scene, but I looked it up this morning. I didn't want to spoil it. Okay, here's the funny. I'll just tell you this before I forget. I looked up, is there an post credit scene? Because in the Infinity War, there was only one at the very, very end of the movie. So I was like, they'll probably do that again. I looked it up and it said no, but there's something special. So I was like, oh, cool. But okay,
something special was
a black screen, a faded to black, which is every single movie screen ever. That's literally what happens at the end of every movie.
Yeah.
Except usually the logo, a Marvel logo or Sony Pictures or something.
I wonder if this means they are done with the extra credit scenes for Marvel movies, since this was the end game. Is this they finished it? There is no more extra credit scenes? Well,
we could look it up and ask, see if the Spider-Man has it, though.
It's supposed to, actually.
It is?
Yeah.
So, okay, then no.
So they'll bring
Maybe it's the end of the Avengers end credits.
Now,
what? Okay.
Do you think they'll even have another Avengers movie after this?
Yes, and the reason why is because of because of Black Widow. I think they will go a route that has either a prequel. I know they're making a Black Widow prequel. I've heard about it. It's going to be on the Disney. What is it called? Disney, and it's a whole TV show about
Netflix app or whatever.
It's Disney Now or something weird.
Yeah.
I feel like they will, but it'll be something about It'll be about Black Widow, and if it's not, I know. I just know for a fact that there will be one. It's not going to be next year because they would already be talking about it, right? But at least Ant-Man didn't go up Thanos' butt and expand and make him explode.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
That's how it really ends. We were just messing around. Go see it. Go see Thanos explode.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to try to list off the stuff that I really liked about the movie. I loved the fact that in the beginning, they did not go in a direction that I was expecting. Thanos dies quickly, and then everybody has to deal with the fact that what do we do if we can't fix things? How do we go on with life? How do we keep going? You see how positive Captain America is as a character, with him trying to help other people move on. And they did the flash forward 5 years, which I thought was really cool.
That was nice, actually.
I like the fact that in the movie you see Ronan, who was, to me, a really cool character in the comics. And it's kind of it's dark ninja Hawkeye. So Hawkeye's family gets caught up in the snap. Yeah. And then he becomes
an assassin, basically.
A ninja. He is, even though a Ronin is a samurai who has no master, that's what Hawkeye becomes. He just starts going through and taking out anybody who's harming anyone. You name it, the bad guy, he goes after him. And he's the coolest Hawkeye you've had in any of the movies.
That is true. One of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in a movie is in the first Avengers movie, and Loki's trying to get this, he got the scepter or something, he's trying to get that guy's eyeball out, but as they're walking into the building, Hawkeye, there's this guy standing up on the ledge, he's looking around with his flashlight, and Hawkeye shoots him with an arrow, and he just falls back off of the tower. It was really funny.
Yeah.
I liked Hawkeye in that movie, but I really liked the connection that he had with Black Widow in this movie. I thought it was really good.
Well, they brought it back from the connection they had in the first Avengers movie. Because they were the only two Avengers without superpowers.
That is,
and that was their connection. Like, they don't have superpowers.
Yes, but...
And they brought that back in their camaraderie and just kind of that type of thing. The next thing that I liked in the movie was the fact that when they did go back in time, they took you back to times in the Marvel movies that you've seen. And then you got to learn new things about those movies.
Except when they went to the Captain America scene. Was that in a movie?
It wasn't really in a movie. It was after the first movie. So it was the time after the Captain America First Avenger when he was not around anymore.
A little thing that kind of made me uncomfortable is... Well, it didn't really make me uncomfortable. This made me like, are you blind moment. What's his wife's name? Spoiler alert, he goes back in time and they get married. So, hope you paused it when we said to. What is it, Peggy?
Peggy.
Okay. She's standing next to the window doing her work. Cap is being a stalker, and he's standing there looking through the blinds so close to her that I think you could actually probably hear his breath coming through the window. How in the world does she not see this man literally standing not even 2 inches away from her, looking at her through a freaking window? You know what I mean?
It was probably a mirror, two-way glass.
All right. Glass.
The other thing that I liked in the movie is
we didn't talk about that.
Iron Man's story arc. You have Tony Stark in the beginning of the movie who is hopeless, lost in space. He comes back. Then when they try to get Thanos, they kill Thanos. No hope again. He doesn't believe that they're going to be able to bring the people back. And then you go forward 5 years and you have Tony Stark living out in seclusion with his wife now, with a kid, and actually the life that he wanted. And when Cap comes to talk to him, he doesn't want to help him out because he's got his life, but then he can't turn off of his engineer mind. He can't turn it off when Cap tells him that there may be a way to save everybody, and he comes up with a way to actually go back in time and fix things, and has to go back and fix things. When he goes back in time, he gets to have this great scene with his dad in the past.
That was... Okay, it was... Let me talk about that. I knew who it was, but because he looks so much different than in the first movie, it was really weird because it didn't look like him at all, and because he looks okay in Captain America: The First Avenger, he looks older. Is that his grandpa or is that his dad? Like Stark?
It's his dad, but he had white hair in the Iron Man movie. So in the Civil War, it was his father, but he had white hair. In this one, it's the same actor, younger. Like they portrayed him younger. Well, that's not what I mean. But it's not. He just did not look like he looked in the previous movies. But that was his father, and there was a great interaction where he got to say some things to his dad that he wouldn't have been able to say before because he wasn't around, and he got to hear some things from his dad that he probably needed to hear. Yeah, and he gave him advice too. Actually, it was okay. It was really fun. I gotta say two things before we move on. One, it was funny when he gave him a hug. It was like it was awkward. It was awkward. Okay, I was trying to use a different word, but that's just what it was. Another thing, because we're talking about comedy, I thought it was really funny when who was it? It was what's Black Panther's like
sidekick.
I
Whatever
know.
her name is, and what's the other person who went with her?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Anyways, so when they went, he's dancing around, because in the first movie, I was actually expecting Guardians of the Galaxy to pop up on the screen. I feel like that would have been a cool throwback, but they didn't, which is okay.
They were all dead.
Huh?
They were all dead in the movie. You couldn't have Guardians of the Galaxy pop up because Rocket Raccoon was the only one there. All the rest of them were snapped out of existence.
No, I mean when
they show back up?
Yeah, when they show back, when he's dancing around, he's like, oh, yeah. And by the way, I think I was the only one singing. I was looking around yeah, everyone's singing. Oh wait, it's just me. But I actually just watched that movie recently with my dad about a week or two ago. So it was nice to see something familiar and that I liked anyways. Because Guardians 1 was a very good movie. It was very funny. And I like Chris Pratt. And if you're old enough, which I'm sure you are if you're listening to this, you should watch Parks and Rec. Because if you're not, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Well,
let's pause and we'll come back to talk about more things that we liked.
I just want to finish before we pause what I liked about the Iron Man arc, since we're still going through that for a second. The end of the Iron Man arc was where he came, in the end, with the help of Thor and Captain America, they are able to defeat Thanos, and Iron Man steals the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos and snaps to fix the rest of what needs to be fixed. And then he, spoiler, dies.
I don't know why I'm laughing. It was so sad.
It was the most emotional part of the movie.
Yeah,
they had a.
It wasn't even when Black Widow went over. It was when she went over. I was just like, didn't I see this somewhere? Oh yeah, the last movie. So,
but it had. I'm pretty certain it had everybody in the theater with moisture on their eyelids.
Yeah.
If not, actually, you definitely were feeling definite emotions during that time.
Yes.
And it also led to the biggest question I have about the movie. And when we come back, I'll ask that question.
Alright, and we are back, and we are going to see what Troy's big question is before we end this.
Alright, so towards the end of the movie, Iron Man passes away, and they have this great scene where almost every hero character and their family members are lined up in memory of Iron Man. And so you start at the beginning of the scene with
his wife,
original Avengers and Pepper Potts and his daughter and all of these people, and it goes through this crowd of heroes, and at the back end it ends with Nick Fury showing up because he's come back.
Yeah.
But right before you get to the end of all the characters, on the right side, there's a young man standing.
Yeah.
That hasn't shown up that I know of in any of the Avengers or any of the Marvel movies.
Am I supposed to know who that is?
And who is it? No idea. I have a theory about who it may be.
Who?
But I don't really know.
All right.
I'm going to give the theory.
All right.
Because it goes into Captain America's story arc.
Do you want to write it down a little bit?
I don't need to write it down.
All right,
I'm just going to spit it out.
All right.
So Captain America, spoilers, does not die in the movie.
I mean,
he goes back in time to distribute all the Infinity Stones back to where they came from. And decides to stay in the past to live his life. And he gets married, and it grows old and shows back up in the future. But they don't show anything else about his life except for the fact that he ends up with Peggy Carter. So if he marries Peggy Carter, they have a kid.
And that's their
it's a
grandson.
Boy, and that's a relative of Captain America that's standing there.
Or what if it's like their grandson?
It could be. We don't know.
We don't know, and it might. See, that's why I think that they're.
And it's the only character we don't know that's standing there.
I don't. Yeah. Well,
everybody else has shown up in the movie prior to that point.
I don't know if we talked about this while we were recording, but we talked about there being another Avengers, and I'm pretty sure we did. But
yeah,
I think we did, right?
There's going to be another Avengers.
There's going to be another Avenger movie, is what I've decided. What it might be about that, and I'm sorry if I already said this, but I think it's going to be about Black Widow. And now that I say it, I think we already did record it, but it's okay because I don't care. So, that is your big little.
That's my big question.
That's your big. So your theory is that either will be it has to be relative, but it's because the weird thing is it kind of looks like Cap when he was just that skinny, scrawny kid
right
before, and it's just like see Cap.
But Cap then again, it could not be a relative of Cap's at all.
How you said that?
That's what my theory is, but we have no idea who this kid is.
Well, we
don't know. It could be any.
It could be Hawkeye's like little brother or something. It could be. I don't know. It could be Thanos' sister. I'm just kidding.
It's the big question mark because they're not wearing superhero stuff, but they're standing by themselves. Okay, he's standing by himself, not with anybody else.
Actually, have two things to say. That one thing really bothered me that I don't understand in the trailer. The only stuff that it shows flashbacks from Infinity War and from the new movie, but the only color you see is red. And I think it's a tribute to Iron Man. It was showing that, all right, guys, you already know this because it was kind of spoiled already, but Iron Man's going to die, okay? So I think they were just showing you, like, the red. Or maybe it's the Soul Stone, and they were getting ready for Black Widow because the Soul Stone is red. But that just bothered me. I don't understand why they went in that direction. I really liked the trailer. It was one of my favorite trailers I've ever seen. I don't know why they did that though. I think it might have been one of those two things, but I'm not sure. What do you think? What do you think the red meant? Do you think it's for a future Avengers movie?
No, I think it was just reference to the Endgame and the foreshadowing of the fact that Iron Man's not going to be around anymore.
Right. That's what I said.
There's not going to be another Iron Man.
Well, there's not going to be an Iron Man 4 because that's not happening.
No. Iron Man is done. He's not going to be there to mentor Spider-Man.
Which sucks,
He's not going to be but there is now, since he has a daughter, and she is very intelligent. They don't specifically say that about how intelligent she is, but she goes into his workshop and pulls out one of the Iron Man helmets.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, why did you... He says to her, that's my favorite place too. So if she was like 4 years old, 5 years old, because it only been 5 years.
Oh, it was 5, yeah.
So the actress was probably older than that, but the character is only like 4 or 5. But she's already interacting with his armor at that age. Then it implies that she is very intelligent. And there could be a future Iron Daughter movie.
Well, the theory...
where
there was a theory...
his daughter...
that... I think Super Coen Brothers made this. There was a theory that his daughter would actually be the newest Captain America. But we find out in the movie, spoiler alert, I don't know why we're still saying this, you should watch the movie. What is wrong with you? Anyways, that Falcon, that's his name, right? Falcon. What's his name?
Falcon.
Falcon is the new Captain America. The theory was that the daughter would be. Another cool thing that was neat, like, me and Troy we're sitting next to each other in the movies with like everyone everywhere, and me and him are looking at each other because in that flashback where it happens right after the first Captain America, and they're going back to get the what were they getting? They were getting a little bit of Soul Stone, right?
They were getting the Cosmic Cube or the Tesseract.
The Tesseract, yeah. But that was in the anyways. He says Jarvis, like the guy's name was Jarvis, like the sidekick or something like that was Jarvis.
And
I thought that was pretty cool. We were both, when it said Jarvis, we both were like, what? Like,
what's cool, I don't think you watched it, Isaiah, but there was a TV show called Agent Carter.
Yeah, I've heard of it, yes.
That had Tony Stark's dad, Howard Stark, in the TV show, and his butler, Jarvis.
Oh, that's the butler's name. And
that actor who played Jarvis in the movie was Jarvis from the TV show.
Oh, okay.
With Peggy Carter.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's who was the first voice for Iron Man's AI. Jarvis.
Yeah, Jarvis.
And that's who became the Vision. Part of it became the Vision.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't want you to spoil. I think that's what happened to Iron Man 3. I don't know, but I don't know how Vision was created.
That was Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Vision was created.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that is right. What? I'm thinking of another character. Age of Ultron was really good. We will maybe talk about this hopefully in another podcast. Avengers 2 was one of my favorite movies ever. After I saw Infinity War, I was like, oh wait. I guess I've never watched a Marvel movie before because this is now the best movie I've ever seen. So it just shows that opinions change a lot. All right. Is there any things you want to wrap up before I say my final little detail before we end this final part 6, part 7, whatever? Sorry, it's so split up episode.
Well, it's so disjointed because we still are overcoming the fact that we just watched the movie a few hours ago.
Yeah, we're pausing. We're pausing it so much because we're still thinking about stuff and what we should say. Honestly.
Yeah, it was
a great movie, honestly.
First reactions are, this will probably be my favorite Marvel movie from the 10 years of Marvel movies. My original favorite was Iron Man, the very first one.
Right.
But Avengers Endgame is my favorite now. It is.
Really?
It's my favorite because I think it wraps everything up.
I think it might be too. Hopefully that didn't ruin another episode, but whatever.
No.
Actually,
but that's just first reaction.
I had another thing I was going to say. It was before I end it, and I'm still trying to get there. Sorry, guys. Alright, so Troy. I actually had a friend who wanted to know what 3 or 4 movies do I need to see before Endgame? What do you think? Obviously Infinity War, but let's say 3 movies. What 3 movies in particular do you think my friend would have to see before seeing Avengers Endgame?
Iron Man, Captain America First Avenger, and the first Avengers movie.
And Infinity War. I feel like it should be... Okay, let's just do 4 instead. So you think what is the first one?
I would say 5. I would add Guardians. The first Guardians.
The first Guardians, yes.
But I don't think you have to watch any other ones to be able to be cool.
I know that someone was like, you can just watch all the Thor movies, and when someone asks, who's that? It's like, oh, that's just one of Thor's friends. Okay. So,
yeah, like
you can't do that.
You don't have to have watched any of the Thor movies.
No,
if you watch
Thor, okay, so you don't have to watch Doctor Strange, but I would suggest it because it's probably one of my favorite movies, and I've said this a lot in this podcast, but it used to be my favorite movie. So I would suggest watching Doctor Strange. But if you don't want to, you can watch Thor Ragnarok instead. But it would be confusing because you'd be like, where does this guy come up? Because Doctor Strange is where he started. Another thing that I liked in this movie was how she reminds me of Snoke for some reason. What's the woman's name? She's like a bald, and she's Doctor Strange's mentor.
She's the
I know what she is, but I don't remember her name.
I don't either.
Alright, well anyway, she was in this movie. Spoiler, I don't even know why we're still saying this, but spoiler alert.
She does make an appearance.
She does make an appearance.
A pivotal part in the movie.
She does have a great part with Bruce Banner. Alright.
Wrap it up, Izaiah.
Before I wrap it up, I'm going to suggest my 5 movies before Endgame.
Okay.
Number 1 is Iron Man. Number 2, Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 3 is Guardian. Not in particular order, I'm just saying ones. Number 3 is the first Guardians movie. Number 4 would be, I think it would be the first Avengers. And number 5 would be Infinity War. So there are my 5 tops. Yes. Now, this is how I'm going to wrap this up. Alright, so
we're gonna end this. We've got 2 minutes left, but we're not gonna take all 2 minutes. We're gonna end our reaction to Endgame with a question.
Okay.
And the question is,
my question is,
why didn't Hawkeye die?
Well, it should have been Hawkeye.
That's the end.
The question,
we're not going to tell you why.
We're not going to tell you why.
And we're not going to.
And the reason why is because you have to follow us, and the only way to know what happens next is if you follow us, so you get the notification when we get the part 2 of this video, and we tell you why.
Or part 22 of this
part
video.
22.
Whatever it is.
Maybe
part 32.
It would be 23 because it would be the 23rd movie.
Oh, well, it's the end.
Okay.
Right, so we gotta stop.
So yes, why Hawkeye should have been the one.
Why it should have been Hawkeye.
Why it should have been Hawkeye. Thank you for listening to Jot This Down. Hope you've enjoyed it. Any last words, Troy?
No, just the title of our reaction to Avengers Endgame is
what we thought about Endgame.
No, why it should have been Hawkeye.
Oh,
it should have been Hawkeye.
It should have been Hawkeye, and we will explain why.
Just listen to us again.
Just listen to us soon, and we might be talking about Shazam soon. So follow us to hear about that. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.